Hey everybody, NFT fans, welcome back to the NFT podcast. I'm your host, Eugene, aka Crypto MC, and I'm here today with my guest. His name is Alwin Wong. He is the head of business development and partnership of CAPSL Entertainment. It is a Hong Kong and Shanghai-based esports game studio powering the future of competitive gaming run by games industry veterans. The main product is BAASH. It makes creating mobile esports tournaments easier than ever. Alwin, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I'll get to start with the history of the personal history. Please explain us, how did you start in the blockchain space and what do you do now regarding blockchain gaming? Explain what is CAPSL, what it does, what BAASH is, and so on and so forth.
Sure. I think like many others, I first got into blockchain out of curiosity, just itching to try new things. And then until a point about 5 to 6 years ago, someone asked me a what if question. And he was asking me, what if I can sell all the assets in an old game that I no longer play and transfer them into funds for a new game? And that was, the point where the tech kind of piqued my interest, and that's how I kind of got into the rabbit hole. And here at CAPSL, we developed BAASH, which is a gaming influencer platform that features mobile esports tournaments. Currently, we're actually an off-chain project. We're not on any chain, but we work with a third party to enable NFTs as tournament prizes.
Okay, I am not a big fan of games. When I was young, I loved more to collect games, not to play. But even I understand that esports is just a way of team gaming. I'm curious, why does it exist as the separate space in the whole gaming industry, the business industry? Due to other business models or other reasons, may you explain to me and my listeners?
Right, that's a very good question, and it's very true. That esports is kind of a new way of gaming. It's a different vertical, but the business architecture is completely different from traditional gaming. So that's why it's treated like a whole new different industry. Esports right now, it's more like an entertainment industry, and where I guess celebrities, quote unquote celebrities or internet influencers, they use gaming as the medium instead of using like TV. So to put it in more detail, there are different smaller verticals like pro teams, and then there's like coaches, and then there's gaming influencers, and streamers, tournament organizers, producers, and actually even more smaller career paths in the gaming esports industry, and where none of these pretty much existed in gaming industry.
Okay, so esports is more like sports than gaming, or just a conjunction of these two areas. Okay, how blockchain as a technology has been changing gaming experience, gaming industry in recent years? Tell us, please.
Right. So let's start with the obvious. We're starting to see more and more crypto-based or NFT-based games. A couple of years ago there was CryptoKitties, the near beginning of everything, to nowadays games like Crypto Blades, Axie Infinity. These blockchain games are starting to change from what I would always like to say a gamified method of investing to really combining like gaming and some form of investment into gaming.
May I ask, are there any peculiarities of utilizing blockchain in the esports comparing with gaming in general?
So for like gaming in general, I think the blockchain is more used for like in-game assets, and it's always like within the game itself. So to put it in an example, you need to own axes, right? And each axis is an NFT, and that's the end of that. but not with like an actual person. So it doesn't matter who owns the Axie, right? The Axie is the thing that's important to the people. But for esports, it's always about like the person or the people or the brand that this person's associated with, because esports plays such a huge role in like the creator economy. Um, so that's why there are projects like team tokens or pro team NFTs out there right now, and they're not really tied to a specific game, right? It's tied to a specific group, and that group can play like 3, 4, 5, 6 games, and they can all become part of their NFT collection.
Got it. Got it. When we talk about blockchain gaming, we should talk about NFT. That's an essential part of any blockchain game. How do you personally define NFT? What is NFT? And what are the most popular use cases of NFT in blockchain gaming?
Right. So kind of like what I said in the beginning, I think NFT makes perfect sense for in-game assets. Using myself as an example, I grew up playing a bunch of premium games and then freemium games, and then I pay X amount of money in the game that I play, and all those things that I got in game, items that I got, are basically they turn to ash, right? They turn to nothing as soon as I uninstall the game, as soon as I stop playing that game and I play into another game, and then I invest more money into the next game, right? And these investments are gone forever, right? But with NFTs, this changes that. I mean, like pre-NFT era, I also talked about this before. Pre-NFT era, it is still possible to sell your game account, right? Even if the game does not have like a trading system, you can sell your whole game account. But then there's a lot of complication in that. So like you have to set up your account in a way that it down the path you will sell it, right? So you will not connect that game to any of your social media platforms that you actually use, right? You need to create a new social media account to connect to that to a particular game that you're trying, because there's a chance that you might sell that game account, right? But with NFTs, it removes all that hassle, and so it's definitely a huge improvement in that front.
Well, got it. Almost all my guests regarding blockchain gaming, they mentioned that the main problem to involve people from gaming to the blockchain gaming is the problem of onboarding, and I didn't even realize that such a problem exists. How do you see what are the main problem of the onboarding non-crypto players, gamers, but non-crypto gamers into the blockchain gaming? Why do these problems exist?
Right. So I guess let's start with what is the problem, right? Why is there onboarding problem, right? So traditional gaming, I guess let's go back 10 years ago. All games majority of the games are premium. So where you pay, an amount to buy a game, own that game, and you start playing at home. And you have no idea. Well, you only rely on like reviews to know whether or not that game is something that you like. Then it kind of shifted to free-to-play games where all games are free. And as a gamer, in a gamer perspective, I can play a game, and I only invest in the game until I really like the game, and I think it's worthwhile for me to invest into the game. Blockchain gaming is kind of back to the old days where I need to pay upfront, and the amount that I need to pay upfront is not like a fixed small amount. No. So using Axie as an example, if you started playing like last year, the entry fee could be something. I didn't follow Axie last year, but I think it's gonna be like much lower than what it is now. So what is it now is like close to 1,000 at least, right? Because you need 3 pets, and each pet right now is roughly around 300 US. So it's like almost $1,000 to get into a game that you don't know whether or not you like it. and and then not including all the transaction in game that you need to pay for every single move. So a lot of people calculate the ROI whether or not I'll be able to get that back, and then at the same time I also need to bet on the token that I'm using to play this game, whether it will inflate or deflate, or whether it would go to the moon, right? And there's a lot of consideration. So that's a huge a barrier to entry, and it's really tough. So, and then not to mention, right, like I'm only talking about, this only occurs to people who are savvy with crypto, who are tech savvy, but then there are a lot of people who, number one, they don't even know what is crypto. Number two, and then next step is they don't have like a Visa card to even get their hands on some crypto to purchase tokens and then to enter the game, right? So that's just a barrier after barrier. This is just super tough. And then I guess especially this is especially true for games, because for a regular investment into crypto, when you're thinking about investment, I think in general the people are more mature, they're older, but for gamers typically they're younger, right? For myself, I game as young as I'm like 3 or 4 year old, right? So there's a chance that a really young kid come across your blockchain game and they'd be like, oh, I want to play this game, looks really cool, but I don't have a Visa card and I don't know how to pay, and then I'm faced with I need to pay a hefty amount before I start playing. So these are just kind of tip of the iceberg of how things are right now.
Gotcha. Thanks for this brilliant explanation. I understand more what's going on into the industry. Let's jump into the use cases. May you mention the general or specific use cases, how NFTs are or may be utilized specifically in esports?
Right. I guess in esports, especially for us, we use like NFTs as like a trophy, and consider like a championship belt. It's just kind of like boxing or wrestling or whatever out there. It's trophies are trophies, right? And when you win a competition, you win a trophy at home, and most trophies look alike, and they're boring, right? And you, even if you have like a really fancy looking trophy, you stop looking at the fancy trophy after a month, right? What's important though is the name under that trophy. It says your name, right? And we understand that, right? And we try to change that. That's something that we try to change, because number one, we want trophies to look cool, right? And number two, we want that trophy to have an actual value, right? And not like, oh, this particular person won an esports tournament, but nobody knows about it, right? Because nobody knows about the particular tournament. It may not be a large tournament, and it may not be, there's always like a start point for someone in like any career, and we hope that by putting NFTs as like trophies, people start to collect these trophies of their tournament wins, and kind of become like milestones of these people have achieved, even though they don't how would I put this, even though they don't really matter to a lot of people, but that's going to build up and matter to more and more people, because it's going to be like their NFT collection. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's jump again into the problems. I want to understand the problems of the specific problems on the industry. If we are taking into account that esports is a team-based game we're talking about, comparing with solo or singular participation in other blockchain games, how do you see the main problems of implementing NFTs into their specifically esports? Technical problem, organizing problems, so on and so forth.
Right. So let's use soccer as an example, right? When you win the soccer championship, there's one trophy or one flag. However, there's like 20 something people in the team, right? And initially that trophy will stay with the team, right? And the rest of the team members, once they, you know, leave the organization and join another team, nobody's gonna really remember that this particular person was part of that team, was part of that championship, and the contribution that they did for the team is, you know, harder to be remembered, because unless they dig back into time and find out, oh right, this particular person was on the roster. He was one of the reasons why, you know, this team has won the championship, right? But you know, with NFT, then we'll be able to, you know, at least have one copy for everybody, and then obviously it's on the ledger, right? So everything is much easily traceable and verified.
Cool. I want to personally thank you for the words or phrase esports CV. Great phrase. Thank you for using that. May you explain what does it mean, esports CV, or even more general, blockchain CV, the future term, and why gamers, players should pay their attention on their esports CVs?
Right, right. So it started from like a legacy issue kind of. Especially for gamers who want to pursue a pro gamer path and become like part of an esports organization. So the, you know, in the legacy is kind of you join different tournaments and make the name for yourself, right? And hope that in one of the tournaments that you join, there are pro team scouts who pick you up, right? And say like, oh, you know, Eugene, you're really good at this game. I want you to join my org, right? And chances are this happening is low, because you need to join really large tournaments, right? And in order to join large tournaments, then you need like a really good team to actually be able to you know, progress really far. And then obviously, you know, having a whole team that's really good, then it's not as easy as an individual. And then you also need to kind of build up your reputation from smaller community level tournaments. So the whole idea of esports TV is, you know, while we're running this esports tournament platform, then we have a full record of all the tournaments that a particular user has won, right? And currently there's no way of tracking this, because community level tournaments can happen like at a really small scale, and it happens like, you know, anytime, anywhere, and nobody really pays attention to that. But then community tournaments at the same time is also where pro teams are scouting for their next rising star. So that's why we feel that in having something like an esports CV will give pro teams like a head start in scouting for the next the superstar. And it's also a place for you know, prospective pro gamers to focus on, right? And understand that every tournament that they participate is going to count, and not have to worry that, oh, you know, is someone actually looking at me playing right now in this tournament, because, you know, it's all going to be on the record.
Got it. And finally, Alwin, do you have any predictions what we will see in blockchain gaming and esports in future, let's say 3 years?
Sure. So I think there's going to be a lot more more sophisticated blockchain based games. It's going to be, by sophisticated, I mean it's not going to be just gamifying the trading experience. It's going to be like some form of mass adoption that's providing a pathway for people to kind of, they don't no longer need to invest a certain amount or, you know, thousands of dollars into cryptocurrency before they start playing. It's going to be a more similar experience for, you know, actual games that people are playing nowadays, right? I try a game for fun, I like it, I invest in the game, and if one day I no longer wish to play the game, or if I got an item that's really, really good, but I don't need it, I can sell it off um, and kind of benefit back myself. But right now it's, if I have to say it, right now it's 70%, 80% speculation, 20% is gaming, and I think in 3 years this will change dramatically. Perhaps even like it would totally swap to like 70% is actually gaming and 30% is the investment part of blockchain games.
Well, thank you very much, Alwin. It's been a pleasure to understand what's going on in esports and blockchain gaming regarding NFTs, especially. Ladies and gentlemen, you were watching the Nifty podcast that is supported by the Nifty protocol. Please like, share, comment, subscribe on the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell button on for not missing the future episodes. We're publishing daily, and please do not forget to visit the next CGC Online 3rd edition 2021. Alwin participated in the 2nd online edition, and I will be moderating some fireside chats. So let's meet in September. Please link below CGC.1, one of the best, or maybe perhaps the best blockchain gaming events ever existing on the planet Earth. Alwin Wong, CAPSL Entertainment, and Eugene Creepy MC were with you. Thank you for watching and listening, and see you in the next episodes. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.